Welcome back to Here's the Thing. Thank you to Cardboard Homestead and the Dreadnecks for our musical interlude there. Drew and I still here in studio at 1625 Buffalo Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York. And we've come back to, among other things, ask each other our questions of the week. Now, originally when we talked about this, we had a couple different versions, and I thought we would each ask each other a question each week. And then it just kind of ended up that one person would ask a question. But this week, Drew's like, no, I got something I got to ask you. So we're both asking questions this week. By the way, if you ever want to ask us questions, you can do so via social media on X or Blue Sky or Facebook or, hell, Instagram. I don't care. All Western New York News and All Western New York Radio and just All Western New York is on all those things. So if you have a question for us, does not have to be about sports, by the way. Drew knows things other than sports, not many, but he does know a few things other than sports. All right, so I'm going to ask you my question first.
Okay.
And then we'll get to your question in a minute. And I was thinking about this, and I don't know what made me think about it, but here's the situation.
Okay.
My parents went away on a week vacation.
Is this a true story or
No.
Okay, made up? Okay. Made up scenario. Okay.
No. That's the first lines of Parents Just Don't Understand. Will Smith's first line.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, but seriously, here's the situation. There is a zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
You can have one athlete, current or former athlete, but has to be alive, protect you.
Oh.
Who would you pick?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar is a great choice. I was actually thinking myself along those lines of like WWE, but for me, most of the WWE stars that I know are older and kind of out of shape. You know what I mean? So, and I know Brock Lesnar is not just a WWE star. He did UFC.
Right.
Who did he play football for?
He was on the preseason roster for the Minnesota Vikings.
Who did he play college for, though? Minnesota?
No, he didn't play college football.
He didn't. I thought he did.
No, he was a college wrestler.
All right. I thought he played
at
college.
the University of Minnesota.
All right. So, he is from Minnesota, and you know what? If I was a zombie and Brock Lesnar was protecting you, I don't think that I would run after you. I would probably look the other way and run away.
Yeah. So to me, like, that was an easy answer for me, just because of the fact of the WWE background, right. But the UFC background, it's like, and
I expected you to come up with a football player, because there are so many football players who are big and bulky and strong and etc. And so that's funny, because my answer is also not a football player and not what you would consider a traditional athlete, because I started thinking about WWE and then kind of went from there. And my answer, this name has already come up today in conversation, although it was off. We were not recording. It's going to seem weird, but I can back it up. Schwarzenegger. Now, I know the dude's like 78 or 80 or whatever, but one, I still wouldn't mess with him. He could kick both of our asses without trying.
Okay.
Two, he's got the resources. And let's just say that, zombie apocalypse, the economy collapses, fine. So all the money he has is worth nothing. But he has stuff. He has cars, he has guns, he has...
Right, and Brock Lesnar owns a farm.
Right.
And he also does his own hunting and stuff like that, too.
Right.
So, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, and I really do... I really would feel comfortable with Arnold Schwarzenegger protecting me.
I also think about it too in this aspect of you got to be able to get punched in the face and everything like that. You got to be able to sustain it and take it.
Right.
So to me though, that's got to be some sort of a combat sport.
Now here is the downside of both of our choices. If they get bit, they are now chasing us, and we're dead.
That's why, right? So that's why somebody with a combat sport that can use their hands,
right?
And their feet.
So there's that. By the way, the reason Drew and I were talking about Schwarzenegger earlier is because we were talking about the new Running Man movie, and Schwarzenegger was in the original Running Man movie, which Drew had never heard of and has not seen. So that's now on his list of movies he has to watch. But the new trailer for Running Man dropped today with Glenn Powell as the Running Man. and it looks really good. I didn't expect it to. I'm always nervous about remakes. You know, they're remaking Buffy or rebooting, but I'm not sure exactly how the Buffy thing works. But like, I feel like the original Buffy was perfect, and why would you mess with it?
I wouldn't say perfect. It was, but like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
are there no new ideas in the world? Apparently not.
That's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, that was a rhetorical question.
Okay.
All right. So that was my question. Speaking of non-rhetorical questions, what is yours?
Okay. So since you have been to the stadium, HighMark, Ralph,
Ralph
Rich,
Wilson. Now I haven't been there in a while. The last time I was there was probably.
Was it still called the Ralph at the time?
It was
or
probably
Rich?
Ralph. It was probably
because it was Rich Stadium first, and then it was the Ralph, and then it was.
I don't know. I don't know when it made the change, but I will tell you this: the last time I was at a game was when my kids were little.
Okay.
So we're going back. My big one's 28, my little one's 25. So we're probably going back at least 15 to 20 years.
That's probably the Ralph.
And we used to go all the time. We'd go for kids' night, which was a thing that they used to do during preseason. Do they still do it?
Yeah. The one preseason game that we have this year is going to be that.
So it used to always be, because there used to be 2 preseason games every year, and one of them was kids' night, and it was always fun. But the traffic was a lot, and like, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of going to the games for a variety of reasons. But anyway, so long story short, yes, I have been to the stadium.
Okay. So with the stadium closing this year, for you, what is your most memorable moment of the stadium?
All right, so there's no question to this one. So I'm in high school, and I think I was a senior in high school. And I go to a game with my friend Ron Lindemann. Now, so much interesting stuff going on here. Ron Lindemann, a friend of mine in high school, he played trombone. We were both in band together. We also went to prom together, not as dates, but we went with our dates.
So they say.
No, this is really interesting. His date is my wife.
What, Jeanette?
Yeah. So all the way back in high school, when I went to prom, I drove, and
so you were scheming and plotting, basically.
I was not.
Okay.
But so I drove. It was me and my date, and then my buddy Ron and his date, who I just married a month ago. So we actually have photos. I don't know if I've ever shown you of like us all dressed up for prom. No. So that's kind of neat. Anyway, so Ron and I went to a game. And it was the Raiders-Bills 51-3.
Really? You were at that game?
That's
cool.
Definitely, without a doubt, my most memorable.
That's cool.
It was, dude, it was cold, it was snowing, it was miserable. But
it was worth it.
So much fun.
It was worth it because of the game.
So much fun. Now, I've been to other games, you know, in the fall when it was nice out and et cetera, et cetera. And I've probably been to a dozen games in all. I cannot tell you another opponent of those 12 games, but I definitely remember that Raiders game. So much fun.
Okay, so for me, I would have to say so my first game and was a year when we were 3-13.
Okay.
Pell was our quarterback. We were playing the Seattle Seahawks. I went with my friend Joe and my friend Matt at the time, and so we were at the game. We went. Just first game there in that stadium. It was kind of cool. It was cool, but it was just actually got to do it with friends.
Sure.
And then other than that, I would say. The one country concert that I was there at.
I've never seen a concert there.
It was wild. Like, okay, so our stadium is like 70,000, right? To see that many people inside that stadium for a concert, like, that was insane. Now, watching something, though, honestly, I think the one event that I actually liked watching and have a memory of with that stadium, I watched all the 51-3 and everything like that. I watched that, but was the the Winter Classic.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that, watching that, I think that was awesome.
The OG Winter Classic, January 1st, what was that, like 2003, something like that?
I don't remember what year it was.
All right, so you mentioned the country concert, and I quickly looked up a lyric from the band Sloan, from the song Coax Me, and the lyric is, "It's not the band I hate, it's the fans." Now, I've used that before, and for me, your thought with your country music experience, I got to imagine it's not the music you loved, it was the fans, because, man, country girls.
Yeah. And the tailgating party was wild.
I can only imagine. Now, I do have one other memory from a Bills game, and it actually has nothing to do with the game, and it's not necessarily a good memory, but I am going to share it with you. So I was at one of the kids' nights, preseason. I don't know what year. I could figure it out by Googling it. I could even figure out who the opponent was because it would be easy for me to figure out what day it was. And the reason is because something happened that day. I was at the game with my family, and a guy I worked with at the time, I was working at WLVL Radio in Lockport, and a guy I worked with at the time, Jim Pastrick, who has just done all sorts of Buffalo radio stuff, was on 97 Rock. He actually... So when I do the things in between, today the role of Scott Leffler is played by, that's Jim Pastrick.
Okay.
So, and I'm actually going to have them redone just because some of them are a little dated. So I'm going to have my buddy Jason Willette, who does the intro, is going to redo some of those and come up with some fresher things. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm off on a tangent as frequently happens with me. So I'm at the game with my family. Jim Pastrick calls me, which was unusual. And tells me that a mutual friend of ours had gotten into a car accident and died.
Wow, that's tough.
That mutual friend was Clip Smith. No? So Clip Smith, the Clipper, did sports for WKBW, Channel 7, then had a show on WBEN for a number of years. And he was a Lockport guy, all-around great guy. But he had gotten into a car accident and unfortunately passed away. And Jim called to tell me because I had a radio show to do the next day, and that was my topic. He didn't tell me that was my topic, but the fact that he told me, so I actually think I did a 2-hour-long show. It was, at the time, I was only doing 1-hour-long shows. Did a 2-hour-long show that day just for people to call with their memories of Clip Smith. So I remember that game, but I don't remember the game at all. That's the only part that I remember.
Yeah. So like I watched the podcast with Sal Capaccio and Matt Bove. And Channel 7, I think, is what Matt Bove is on, the sports director. So they're doing like a series like during the preseason every Monday of like memories of the stadium and everything like that.
Right.
And yeah, so it was like, so it brought to me like the question, like,
it's a good question. It's
what was your like favorite memory? Like, and that's why for me it's like it doesn't really have to be a game.
Right.
Like, there's been so many events there.
I mean, just to make sure we're on the same page, and I think everybody here knows this is not a favorite memory. It's just a vivid memory.
Yeah, it's like something that like you can say like, okay, when that stadium closes down, if you ever go to the new stadium and you're with someone who's never been to that old stadium, you can be like, well, hey, like, but this, we had this event here or whatever. It was cool or whatever.
Well, my Powerball pick's got to win before we can go to the new stadium, though. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, unless we go to the skating area only.
Right. Now the Sabres Arena, Marine Midland, KeyBank, HSBC, whatever you want to call it. I have a lot of memories there. I've been to a lot more games there. One thing I can tell you is they used to have a Tucks and Pucks every New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And so that was a lot of fun. I went to that a few times with the same girlfriend that I went to the prom with in high school. We went on a few different occasions.
I've been to a concert there as well. It was a Destiny's Child concert. It had like Nelly in it, Eve, It was like 6 or 7 groups total.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good show.
The only concert I've ever seen there was Pearl Jam. That was a fun show. But like I've been to a whole bunch of other things there. Like they had like Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus was there with the kids.
Yes, I went to the old Odd. I went to the Odd when that was there because
they had monster trucks. That I went to once with the kids.
I've gone to wrestling events,
several WWE events because I used to get free WWE tickets from WLVL.
Yes.
And so we went to several different WWE events there, and that was just a lot of fun. We made signs. I remember making a sign about Stacy Keebler once that was probably not appropriate, but whatever. So I actually have more good memories there. And generally speaking, I feel like that's a more family-friendly environment. I don't hate going nearly as much because there's not the traffic. You don't get stuck. You can take the train in. But that's just my take. Now, I've also seen the Bandits there a couple times, but not in several years. Definitely got to go to one of those soon.
I'd like to go to a Bandits game. I've never been to one, so I think that would be cool.
And then I also have several, Pilot Field, Coca-Cola Field, Salem Field, whatever you want to call it, memories.
Yeah.
Most of which are not baseball related.
I went to 2 concerts that I remember. I was in high school. It was Kiss the Summer Low. 98.5 was doing that. And then it was Taste of Country.
Right.
And then I went to
another country show. Yeah. Drew is not a country music fan, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
No, but
he likes the fans.
Family. Yeah, my dad, my mom, my sister were huge country fans. So I would end up going with them and stuff.
Well, they used to do like an annual brew fest.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went to the year I think it was like 2002 when we got Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
Right after we got him. He was at the Buffalo Wing Fest.
Yes, the Wing Fest used to be there as well.
Yeah.
And I think is it back there now, or is it still because they had moved it to Orchard Park.
Right. I don't know if they moved it back.
Yeah,
or not.
but when it was at Coca-Cola Field, Salem Field now, I went to a few of those, and those were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I said the annual beer festival or brew festival or whatever it was called. I went to a couple of those with Ellen.
And then the game you and I went to, the Josh Allen celebrity or the Micah Hyde celebrity softball game, that was cool as well.
That was cool. And then of course you and I went to a
actual Blue Jays game.
A Jays game there.
Yeah.
And then I went to a Jays game the next night or 2 nights later with Ellen. Ellen, for those of you who don't know, ex-girlfriend, one of my best friends in the world. Because for some reason or another, I get along with almost all of my ex-girlfriends, except the one that I don't. But that's another issue, which we're not going to talk about ever.
Right. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, because that stadium technically is closing and everything like that, right. And the new HighMark Stadium is opening. I figured
that's a good question. Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah. And so, people out there probably have been thinking about this for a while because, as you said, they are talking about it on other media. But if you want to chime in, please feel free to do so on social media. What's your memory from, Rich Stadium / Ralph Wilson Stadium / HighMark Stadium, and then throw in the other stadiums or arenas while you're at it. Buffalo sports memories that aren't necessarily related to the game can be, but not necessarily related to the game. Yeah. All right, Drew. Why don't we wrap things up? Speaking of a game, we got a baseball game to get to.
Yes, we do.
And you and I'll be back next week. We'll do this all again?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Why don't you play some music?
Maybe next week we'll have a full 2 hours. Maybe not. I don't know. You've been listening to Here's the Thing. I'm Scott. He's Drew. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Later.